All right. Well, hey, I'm getting ready to do some kind of an interview for a podcast for Coretainers. I'll get back in touch.
What's going on, everybody? Sam Heine here with another episode of Street Talk. Hope everybody's staying healthy out there with the coronavirus scares. Nonetheless, I'm here today with Jeremy Semones. He is the owner-operator of Core Design and the vice president of Coretainers. Thank you for being with us today, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Your whole thing is turning shipping containers from these giant steel objects that carry all sorts of goods across bodies of water to living spaces and workspaces and that sort of thing. What got you into this business?
I don't know. Let's see. I guess about 11 years ago, I was always kind of fascinated with what you could do with containers. I actually just started building custom furniture and fire pits and planters and sculptures, and saw these boxes. I guess when the economy crashed, there was a lot of them. Laying around, and I was approached by a friend of mine to build him a garage out of shipping containers. We built the first one. It turned out really well, and then it turned into a second one, and then that turned into a lakefront vacation house getaway kind of deal, and then
Escalated quick.
Copper and Kings in 2014 reached out, and we built the containers over at Copper and Kings, and it just kind of unfolded organically. Even though the container or cargo texture has been around for 20 plus years, it just hasn't gotten real big in the States yet. But the East Coast and the West Coast are a couple of years ahead of us, and it's finally getting to Louisville. So
yeah,
just kind of taking advantage of the newness.
Yeah, that's cool. You've got some cool projects coming. I mean, it's the veteran project down in the South End with Luckin and Farley.
Yep.
And that seems really cool because you're putting a community together.
Yeah.
Essentially, there's garden spaces and living spaces and working spaces. It's sort of this. I don't know. It's really a wild thing.
I'd like to call it a kind of a microcosm.
Yeah, microcosm. That's the perfect way to say it. Yeah.
And I think that's how you have to approach Louisville. And when you do that, I mean, I think Resurfaced was a good example of what you can do with spaces and bring community together.
Yeah.
We did a community center on 18th and Magazine. So I think it's starting to be a little more accepted. There's a big job in Indiana that's going to be starting really soon down at the end of the walking bridge. We're in the middle of doing a house now for a client up in Trimble County.
Yeah, I saw the pictures of that.
Yeah, so we've got some things in the works for Louisville as well too. So it's exciting. Louisville has needed a little bit more innovative, outside of the box sort of speaking, in housing, and just something a little different than your cookie cutter stuff. I mean, containers aren't everybody's thing.
Yeah.
But it's an alternative. It's something different. It gets people thinking about, building differently.
Right.
Because right now, the traditional practice services, I mean, what they're doing now is all the builders are building $300 on up $1,000 homes, leaving the market open for the middle of range or the low end, and nobody's in that market. We're rehabbing, but some of the houses they're not worth rehabbing. They're just
right.
If you want to go energy efficient and start adding some new building practices, I think containers are an opportunity to start showing what can be done.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the answer,
Yeah.
end-all answer to housing, but it's definitely different. And
Great
I know
option.
that there are some people that'll embrace it.
Yeah. It was interesting what you said about the 300K and under, not necessarily every time. Yeah, I'm sure you can do some pretty elaborate container homes, but in large part it's a cost efficient way to do it compared to a lot of builders out there.
I mean, it can be. So there's a lot of bad information out there. You'll get on YouTube and this guy will show you this 1,600 square foot container home and say, I built it for $100,000. Well, what he doesn't tell you is it took him 3 years to build.
Right.
He didn't pay himself anything. He outsourced all the cheapest possible materials and substrates and stuff. When you've got plenty of time,
Yeah.
you can do that. But if you're going to get into building this as a practice, it's still all the same hard cost.
Yeah.
Plumbing is plumbing. Drywall is drywall, whether it's in traditional or a container. Really, the only difference is you got to use closed cell insulation, which is a little bit more pricey than dry bat. But your structure's here, your exterior structure's here, so you don't have to use vinyl or brick or wood siding.
Yeah.
You eliminate floor joists and ceiling joists. But the more extravagant designs you get into, you definitely have to add more infrastructure. But I guess the idea really is to be able to do these under a roof and pretty much build them out 90%. You can get the cost down tremendously if you're doing them under a roof rather than on site.
Right.
As it goes.
Right. No, it's pretty cool. Like taking the joist out of things, and there's so many things going back to like an older house that instead of rehabbing the whole thing, I think that restoration is an awesome thing, and if it's an efficient way to do it, rather than tearing it down and rebuilding, then go for it. But it is maybe a lot of times it does make more sense to just build something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of instances. I know a couple of my friends that are in the rehab business, and they bought a house over Germantown, Snitzelberg area for about $100,000. Put in about $100,000 and liquid, cash, and then you have labor and all that went with it. And now they're trying to sell it for. It started at $320,000, and it's been on the market for 6 months. Nobody's touched it. It's been dropped. So now it went from $320,000 to $260,000.
Damn.
And it's still not selling.
Yeah.
They could have built a brand new house.
Right.
So once that's the trick about rehabbing. You buy it and you start getting into it. You don't know what you get into.
Right. It's a kind of a can of worms until you get into the walls and get into the floor.
I mean, I understand that some buildings are worth rehabbing, for preservation and historic reasons, but not all houses. Sometimes you need to let go of the past and allow room for the future and the newer generations, because the housing market's nothing but hand-me-downs. If you've got brothers and sisters, you get their clothes. If you got younger brothers and sisters, they get your clothes.
Right.
And not everybody wants what somebody else has had. They want their own thing.
It's a modern alternative, and I was about to say that next. Last time we talked, you mentioned something about that, and when you really dig in and think about it, like such a big part of the housing market and buildings, I guess structures in general, but they're all sort of the design and layout of your grandparents or great grandparents, and I feel like container homes and container structures are sort of this new era of possibilities.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think that it's in the world that we live in, and with the instant and the throwaway and the replaceable. I think containers add this mobility of sorts. So if you need to activate a piece of land, you can put a container home on it. And then if somebody wants to come in and buy it and do a big development, you can always unhook it and reuse it.
Right.
You're not demoing it.
Yeah.
and throwing it away, or you can pass it on to a homeless person.
Right.
If that may be the case, or you can pick it up and reactivate another piece of land.
Yeah.
So I think it's got a multifaceted. I'm always looking at the non-traditional ways of doing things.
Yeah.
It's always nice to be able to create something different and to be able to, give people options.
Yeah, it's the future right there.
Yeah.
Thinking a little bit differently, expanding things. I guess in closing, what morsel of advice, I guess pros and cons, would you give somebody that, maybe is looking to buy a home? Maybe it's an existing home, or maybe they're thinking about, well, what are my options if I found a piece of land and I built a more traditional Fisher Homes type of structure, or maybe going the container route. What would you say the pros and cons would be against those other two to go on this route?
So when I think about containers, I think about the durability. If a tree falls on it, it's not going to crush it. Tornado's not going to pick it up and spin it in the air. You're not going to get a whole lot of pests, termites, because it's made of metal.
Right.
And as far as catching it on fire, you'd almost have to put jet fuel in this thing.
Right.
You could get a fire, but it doesn't gut the whole house.
Yeah.
You just clean it and rebuild inside the shell. It's not going to burn the container. So, small carbon footprint, sustainability, maintenance free, customizable, movable.
Those are big things too,
Yeah, and if you're looking at something different, so this is an opportunity now to put in smart home infrastructure in it.
Mm-hmm.
When you insulate these things, they're like coolers. They'll keep everything cool, keep everything warm.
Right.
There's a lot of different possibilities in it. Like I said, I'm more partial to it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Modern living.
But I'm not gonna, twist anybody's arm to get into it.
Definitely sounds like it has its fair share of pros.
Yeah, so my market is anybody that wants something unique and of their own.
Yeah.
They want to be a part of the build. They like the idea of it coming full circle, using it, upcycling, recycling, and different. I think there's a lot of, I like cubism, so that you can do a lot of cubism with these, different levels, rooftop
different
gardens,
symmetries.
So
that's cool.
They're basically building blocks.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I think everybody doesn't realize now is our world's so complicated anymore, and it's so polarized that we need to get back to some of the stuff that we were just taught in elementary school. The ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, building blocks, and get back to that simplicity.
Keep it simple,
instead of
You're right. No.
Overly complicated and intellectual.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
keep it simple, stupid. That's what they say, right?
Yeah.
And I guess one more thing I said in closing the last time, but this one I guess would be the closer. With what you're doing with the microcosm of the Veteran Project down in the South End, do you see over time, and maybe in other countries, do you see that might work its way to Louisville eventually, like these little community?
Oh yeah. So I'm actually, without giving up too much information, I'm working on probably 10 different projects right now with containers, and different facets and different models and different ideas. I'm sure a lot of people have seen these Bestie Rose communities. Building individual apartments, almost dorm style, where everybody has their own, 320, 640 square foot bedroom, bathroom, but having communal kitchens and living rooms and dorm style type microcosms, and building little communities and little pockets in different areas. So that's definitely some things that I've been thinking and working on, in all sorts of different models.
Right.
Whether that be the homeless vets, convicts coming out of prison that need a hand up and a starting place. There's a lot of different lot of schools. And, you know, it's
mixed use.
It's
Yeah.
commercial, mixed use, teaching programs.
Yeah.
You can build them out, drop them off, mobile
Yeah.
classrooms. So they, it's endless.
Yeah.
As simple as a box is,
Right. It
it has
gets pretty.
plenty
A lot of options. A lot of combinations.
of options.
Yeah. I think I've said it before on here and I'll say it again. I think that fluidity in the workspace and living space and entertaining space is important to people. And I think it will continue to get more and more important over time. You know, and that sociability aspect, you know, for as connected as we are as a world on our phones, you know, we're pretty well disconnected in a lot of ways as well, to have that, you know, communal living space in between houses that are drawing you out to talk to other people. I think that would be really cool to see around town.
Yep. I think it's, you know, and honestly, if you think about it, these containers, before they're even modded into stuff, has connected countries all over the world. Right?
Yeah.
It comes from one country to another country. So these things have probably seen more world than most of us.
Yeah.
But the idea that this is I don't know, what do you call it? A vessel of connectivity, or there's something, you know, I don't know exactly the words for it,
Well
but
put,
if
though.
you think about it long enough, it's got a whole lot of backstory that can build a story.
And now
for
it's
it.
made its way back to being reincarnated. That's cool, man. Well, a lot of exciting things coming up. Really love what you're doing. If anybody has any questions, reach out to Jeremy with Coretainers, everybody. He's got some exciting options coming up for the city of Louisville. So appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Yeah. Thanks. See you all next time.